'Tis the season?
Yeah, well, as we discussed on the last, I think we said this in April too, of 'tis the season.
Well, our season goes from like April to end of June generally, but has been extended into July simply because of our release schedule.
Like we're on a sports team, like the NFL season.
These are our playoffs. We're in season all year.
Ooh,
these are the playoffs.
These are the playoffs.
So we're basically the NBA.
Yeah, the Sarah Adler, Ashley Poston playoffs.
Yes, exactly. Our regular season ends with Emily and Abby. Playoffs are for Ashley.
Ooh,
and Sarah.
You know what? You're so right. Or you could also reverse it of like these are the real romance heads season versus.
Yeah, so this is the beginning, or like the beginning of our season starts in April.
Who are we kidding? The season is all year round.
Yes, it's actually more like soccer where they just fucking never stop.
They never ends.
There's like a 2-week break.
Yeah, but we're glad for it.
We're here finally to talk about Finders Keepers by Sarah Adler, friend of the pod, friend of our lives. And I'm looking at the print books and realizing that the covers of Finders Keepers and Happy Medium are actually pretty similar.
Oh yeah, isn't it also like the same font as Mrs. Nash's Ashes?
I think so. Let me look. I have that one too.
Do 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 do.
Yes.
A complete set. Oh my gosh, they look so cute together.
I know, don't they?
I love them. Yeah, big props to Sarah's cover artist because they're always really cute. They're always really fun. I feel like there's little Easter eggs on the front of them. Like they're like we love an Emily Henry cover, but they're very straightforward. So, so we're here to talk about Finders Keepers, which obviously we have been OG fans of Sarah Adler, who I am grateful every day I stumbled upon through a random Goodreads list when Katie and I didn't know what we were going to read for an episode. Like it was very, what do you call it? Kismet?
Not only has it introduced us to a lovely series of books, not to be confused with the book series, but it's also made us a lovely friend, and so it's excellent.
Yes, we are still objective book talkers, whatever, but it's of no surprise that this one is excellent also either. Okay, so
we're slightly not objective when it comes to Sarah, but we will but we will always I think our conversation falls under the Taylor Swift styled sort of definition of critically kind.
Critically kind. I like that. So
yeah.
I'm saying this now and I can't think of any really big criticisms I even have about this book. So like really this point is moot. So
yeah, exactly.
Who gives a shit?
Where does this book stand for you in the trio in terms of favorites?
So I think I was thinking about this as I read it. I was really happy to be back in Sarah's first person head because Sarah is such a funny writer. And I think that was like, obviously Happy Medium was incredibly funny at parts, but I think that sense of humor that Millie had, that Nina has, was something I really missed. Like I was really happy to get back into Sarah's character's head versus in Happy Medium, which we had a really interesting discussion with her on the podcast about choosing first person versus third person, which I think we talked about in our episode where we talk about Kelly Siskin's book. So go back and listen to that.
Our New Orleans Rush episode, if y'all are curious about hearing Sarah's thoughts on that. I found that really interesting.
Right. Like as a writer, like that was a very purposeful choice that she made. And I think, both have merits, of course, but I was really happy to be back in a Sarah Adler character head. And I think it's hard to say because I do owe Mrs. Nash's Ashes a reread. And I think it is, I would put this one above Happy Medium, I think, just because it was so nice to be back in that space with a very funny, kind of awkward, kind of a weirdo heroine that we loved so much about Mrs. Nash's Ashes. I think I I owe Mrs. Nash's Ashes a reread because I don't know if I'm conflating the two, and that like the feeling I got when I read Mrs. Nash's Ashes of like, oh my god, this is like one of my new favorite authors. I am so excited about this book. I am going to tell every single person I know about it, which is still true. I still do. Um, versus like this one, which I am still really excited about, but like when you get a discover
Yeah,
kind of like this book when they go treasure hunting, like
the feeling of going into a book blind, not knowing if you're going to like it and then
mhm,
coming out loving it is very different than going into a book knowing that you're going to love it no matter what, even
right,
if it's not your favorite of that author's or whatever. It's like the Emily Henry phenomenon. It's like hard for us to like, I think we have an easy time ranking them, but the feeling of reading Beach Read for the first time, like if we had read Book Lovers as our first Emily Henry book, or if we had read People We Meet on Vacation as our first Emily Henry book, maybe those would be our favorites because
right.
they would have introduced us to this author that we now love. So I think it's hard to judge them in a vacuum because the vacuum doesn't exist.
I think so too. Where does it rank for you on that note, I guess, if you can answer the question?
I feel similarly in that I owe Mrs. Nash's Ashes a reread. I think for me, not having read Mrs. Nash's Ashes in several years, I this might be my favorite for the simple reason of seeing myself the most in this book versus the others. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with you before we hit record that Nina is for sure if I'm putting myself categorizing myself as a Sarah Adler heroine, it's certainly Nina, for a lot of obvious reasons. So yeah, I think just from a personal standpoint, it is the one that I like identified the most with. But yeah, as we said, hard to judge it in a vacuum.
Right, yeah. So, for the listeners who have not read this book, which you absolutely should, and then come back and listen to the rest of this, this is a second chance romance of
Yes.
two childhood best friends who have both returned home under less than ideal circumstances and have decided to reinvigorate a treasure hunt that they had embarked upon as kids that also like ruined their friendship. So, you got a lot. I thought this was going to be way more goofy than it actually was. I was telling
Yeah.
my sister-in-law about it yesterday where she was asking what I was reading and I was like, "Oh, I just finished Finders Keepers by Sarah Adler." And she read Mrs. Nash's Ashes and she liked it. And so I was like, you read the description and it reminded me of Something Wilder by Christina Lauren, which I did not super enjoy.
It was okay. It was something different from them, which I liked, but it's not even in my top, like, I don't know, 10 Sarah
Right.
or Christina Lawrence.
Right. Like it's a third person Christina Lauren. It's like an adventure novel kind of. And I don't remember like they're looking for money or something. Um
Yeah, there's also a treasure hunt sort of thing involved, but I don't remember the exact details.
right. So I went into this one skeptical is certainly not the right word because again, like I knew I was going to go into it and enjoy it, but I was like, okay, let's see if this is too goofy at points for me.
Mm.
And it really was not. I was really pleasantly surprised with like the fact that we open with Nina and Quentin, both who grew up next to each other in a duplex. Which I did have some questions about, like the physicality of the duplex at points, but whatever, it like doesn't matter.
Yeah, like the I was having a hard time with the placement of their windows, and then with
Backyard,
the the backyard scene, I was like, hang on, where are we?
where,
How?
yeah, I need
But I
Sarah
had to
to
like,
draw me a layout a little bit.
okay, since we alluded to the backyard, this is Sarah's horniest book for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think she just keeps getting hornier and hornier.
Ooh, I mean, okay. Yeah, so it's slow burn is not the right word, but like Nina is horny for Quentin throughout, like
Yes.
from like the get go of, oh my god, my childhood best friend who I grew up with. Oh no, he's hot. So,
Also, this, I don't know if maybe horniest isn't necessarily the right. word. Maybe it's more like, I don't know, the steamy scenes are steamier. Like the backyard scene is like, when I first read it, my jaw dropped because I was like, oh, we're just doing this like this. Like she's just gonna masturbate out the window for him. That's fucking crazy. And it was like a super hot scene. I liked it. I thought it was fun, something different than we normally see. And then the mushroom folly sex scene is the one that I told you might rival bottom of the well as our goofiest
Oh,
sex location.
I full body gasped at the window scene because I
Yeah,
was like, first I was pissed off because like they had almost kissed on the front porch, and I was like, I can't do this right now, Nina. Please just say what you're
yeah,
thinking. And
yeah.
then, boy, did she. And it did very much remind me of one of my favorite sex scenes in a book, which is also like not a sex scene. It's not Birds of California. It's a different one where it's like two movie stars that I hated the ending of it.
The Ava
And
Wilder book.
yes, the Ava Wilder book where they are trying not to hook up and
Mhm.
she's masturbating in the bedroom and he's masturbating in the living room.
Yeah, in the other room. Yeah,
Yeah.
similar to that. Yeah.
Uh so I was like, "Ooh, that is a not a trope, but twice now, two very great sex scenes in a book. Sex, not sexy. What does she tell Sabrina? Like, we hooked up, but not really. The mechanics are complicated.
Yeah,
That's
something like
something.
that. Yeah. Yeah, it
So,
was funny. Um,
mushroom
I also got
folly.
to I got to explain to this guy that I've gone on a few dates with the gray sweatpants um phenomenon.
Do they not know? Do the men not know?
Some men do. This man did not.
I feel like it's like the push-up bra for men. Like everyone should know.
It, it's underutilized. The number of times I have read in a romance novel about a man in gray sweatpants versus the number of times I've seen a man in gray sweatpants, that ratio is sad.
You are correct. So,
More men in gray sweatpants.
2025.
Yes.
That's my campaign promise.
Men in gray sweatpants 25. God, we should start to make merch.
We would be great at it. Hey, we know an embroiderer. We know a
If so,
guy.
yeah, if someone has distribution recommendations that won't kill us, let us know.
Yeah, let us
Um,
know if you'd buy a shirt from us also. We just have a box of 30 t-shirts that nobody has ever bought.
Sitting in my fucking office closet or in your garage or something.
Yeah, and then we stumble upon it 10 years from now and are like, "Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, we
2020s."
made these.
Yeah, and they we sold them for $5.
I
Anyway,
think if we did it, we would have to do it sort of in the pre-order fashion where we don't
yeah.
like have them in stock, but you order them and then they all ship at once.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Anyway, this is an offline
Yeah.
conversation.
If you're interested in 50% merch, hit us
Yeah,
up.
let us know. If there is actual interest, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Um,
I got good t-shirt ideas.
yeah, yeah, there are plenty of things that we say that could go on a t-shirt.
And plenty of things that
Anyway,
shouldn't.
yes, very, very funny sex scenes, and this was the sex scene that I've been waiting for you to read since January was the mushroom folly one because I was like, hang on, Sarah's got something that rivals the bottom of the well.
Dude, in the mushroom folly with fireworks going off against a
Almost caught by security.
almost caught by security against a pillar at points.
Yeah,
It
it's maybe less silly, but just as like absurd, I guess.
yeah,
Or maybe less absurd, but just as silly. Maybe reverse that.
maybe yes. I think silly is
Yeah,
correct. I can't imagine it happening though, unlike bottom
exactly.
of the well.
Yeah,
So there is that difference between
more realistic, certainly.
more realistic, the nice touch of absurdity of life in general of like, yeah, this could happen. So
Yeah, it's definitely top five among our weirdest places. So thank you, Sarah, for giving us something uh,
to
stranger. And if there's something even more strange in Wild Goose Chase,
dude
um, let us know. If not, challenge for book five,
for your next one.
writing challenge.
Yeah, yes, that's what Sarah needs from us. More of a challenge. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Totally,
she's
something to give her more work.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um So let's kind of talk about the. Let's talk about how Sarah writes heroines, which is
Mhm.
my favorite aspect of her writing is, and what really got me immediately from Mrs. Nash's Ashes of how she writes a really good weirdo.
Mhm.
And Nina is not necessarily as weird as Millie is, but she is an anxious girly.
Yes.
She is she's like she's a historian. She like has a history PhD. So like you got to be a little bit weird to like
Right.
do that in a good way. We always not always. Most of the time we say weirdo, we mean it as a term of endearment. We're weirdos.
Totally.
Like this is a very good term of endearment.
You know,
Um
I do very much want to ask Sarah too how because I identify the most with Nina, in large part because of the academia piece of this book
mhm.
and the burnout that comes along with academia and having the rug pulled out from under you, like your class is being cut at the last minute. Like all of those things have happened to me. Um, and feeling like it's hard to get ahead because it is hard to get ahead. Sarah also has a background in academia, and so I'm interested to hear from her, which I'm sure we will ask her in the next episode that we record together. How much of her is in Nina?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
because there are some obvious parallels just in terms of the career stuff.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Of like kind of this starting over piece of Nina where we meet Nina at the beginning of the book, and she, in the span of 3 days, she has been dumped, lost her job, and had to move back home
Yeah,
with her parents within 3 days. So Nina's bad summer could rival our bad summer of last year.
God,
Maybe.
honestly, yeah.
What a it's nice to feel kinship with someone, even if they're fictional. But the kind of being in Nina's head, Nina is very funny. Nina has a similar sense of humor, I think, to both of us. It's
Hmm.
a little bit more toned down than Millie, who is incredibly silly. I did not mean for
Right.
that to rhyme, but like Nina's less silly and more. I don't even know if irreverent is the right word, but she's more cynical. And
Yeah, she's more like dry.
yes, she has a drier humor, and which also like makes sense for this point in her life where she is not certainly did not intend to like move back home with her parents for the summer under this
Mhm.
hot pink comforter that she mentions often.
Okay, I had this comforter. I'm not bullshitting you. It's like hot pink and orange. I got it at Walmart. And even if it is not the exact same one, it is the exact same
Oh
one. Like,
no, it reminded me of I my I had a brief time where I had an older stepsister when I was in elementary school, and she gave me a giant stack of like old American Girl magazines,
oh
which
my god.
part of my journalism origin story, perhaps.
I
American Girl
forgot
mag.
about the American Girl magazines.
Dude, it was some really hard hitting journalism put together by the tales of 9 year olds. But anyway,
Yeah.
they had like a little feature in there of like how to redecorate your room. And remember, it was like hot pink and orange, blue and orange, hot pink and green. Those were the it girl.
Teal and green
Teal and
also.
green. Oh yeah, no, that was those were the hot girl combinations of
Hmm.
elementary and middle school of the
Hmm.
early to late aughts.
Yeah.
So I feel real seen in terms of those comforters. I wanted blue and orange. For some reason, I wanted a beach themed room at one point. I don't even
Oh my
like the
god, so
beach.
did I.
Yeah. I
It's because we were all like dolphin girls for a brief period.
I don't even remember being a dolphin girl. I was just like,
I wasn't like a huge dolphin girl, but I was like an ocean beach. Well, I'm still like a ocean beach girl, but like that was my origin story.
well, society had convinced us that the best thing you could do with your life is live by the beach. And I disagree, but at the time, apparently this was the key to having a great life when you were 10, 11, 12. And so your
Well,
room,
apparently, I mean, for one thing, it was like Mary Kate and Ashley movies, certainly, but
sure.
it was also a movie that we will be rewatching on Sunday at our friend Lindsay's birthday party, Blue Crush.
I don't think I've ever seen Blue Crush.
You're a little young for it.
Okay, I know of it certainly, but I am a little young for it probably.
Yeah.
Reminder:
Yeah.
Katie and
'Cause
I are.
I
Si-
even think I'm a smidge young for it because
yeah,
it was an older sister of one of my friends who initially introduced me to it. Also, there's a Mav in my lap now, so if they're sniffing in the microphone, it's because he wants to say something.
We haven't figured out the perfect new recording system now that Katie is a single dog mom. So
Yeah, it's not easy, but they're being better today.
a single mom who works two jobs.
Look at him; he is an angel.
Yeah, totally. He got a haircut recently. He looks a little not
He looks
busted,
normal
but
again.
yeah. So
Um,
so yeah, this Nina is your heroine. I think I still probably identify more with Millie, who is a lot more roll with the punches than Nina, but yeah. Is there anything else with Nina besides the academia part that was like a your January, your Sarah Adler January, perhaps?
yeah, I mean, I think her anxiety manifests in a similar way as mine does. Like we have similar kind of thought spirals. Um, I think the the thing that goes along with the academia stuff of like wondering, uh, like the not the career crisis, but the like, hey, this is like, is it even possible for me to work my way up in this space? Do I even want that? What does that look like? Like those sorts of things. I think that comes along with academia, but also comes along with the type of person that Nina and I both seem to be. The
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, what's the next thing? Like, I need to be like moving up, and if I'm not moving up, then what am I doing? Sort of thing. Um, like the way she thinks about like failure and success, I think is similar to the way that I, for a long time, did, and am kind of thankfully healing from now. But again, the like, if I'm not doing like this one thing that I set out to do, then who am I? What am I? Like, etc. Like, if I'm not moving forward, I'm moving backwards, kind of thing, which um, is something that thankfully I think over the past year I have moved on from because uh, I did many things happen to me that felt like moving backward and at the time, and they do not now feel like moving backward. They feel like I moved forward. And so I think the kind of journey she goes through in this book of like redefining what moving forward looks like, redefining what being happy looks like, redefining what success looks like, are all things that I identify with at this stage in my life, particularly.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a stage I am actively in a little bit still, where the way that Nina talks about the different versions of herself, like ambitious Nina, I saw a lot of myself in that of like the not yeah the I have to be moving immediately, like I have to be always like like a shark, like I have to move or I'm gonna die kind of thing, and which is a lot of how I operate. I feel like I don't necessarily have I think I in my anxiety is not the same as Nina's. Like I don't really have thought spirals about certain things like that. Like my anxiety is a lot different, I think. I feel like I used to have a very similar anxiety to Nina, where it's like a Nina does this thing where it's like what's the worst thing that can happen, the best thing that can happen, and the most likely thing that can happen. Honestly, I don't know if it's just like a new thing of me over the past couple years, or just like after all of the crazy shit that I've experienced lately, where I'm just like, I gotta worry about it when I'm gonna worry about it. Like at this point, like there are too many things happening, and I've just kind of like beat my brain into submission of we gotta put that one away for now, which is kind of a healthy way to deal it, but also when it comes time to feel things is really hard. So Nina being wanting to kind of channel this ambitious Nina where she's like struggling is a very real thing for me, for a lot of people. And then yeah, like she has this conversation with Quentin later in the book where she realizes, like, or not even realizes, but like voices to him why it's so hard to kind of let go of this version of herself, where I'm just going to read it, because just Nina isn't enough. She's never been enough. And then the quick quote from Nina continues: "She wasn't enough for you to want to stay friends. She wasn't enough to keep my dad safe or to know how to help when we already lost our house." And then, yeah, she just like breaks down and cries. And I was like, fuck, man. Has she been talking to my therapist? Because, wow, this is, uh-oh. Big feelings that I have a whole lot, where, yeah, that's like my anxiety struggle with a lot of, am I enough as a person?
Right.
Do people just expect things of me to like make their lives easier, or do they actually like me as a person? So,
Mhm.
ouch, 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 Sarah. You owe me a therapy session, so I'm gonna bill you. No, I'm not gonna do that. We're already working on that, me and my therapist. But it, you know, in talking about where we have these really vivid characters from these books that we really love, and like sometimes they're candy, sometimes they're um they just really like rip my heart out and make me feel too seen. Kind of depends how I'm feeling that day. But I think it's always a comfort to, yeah, again, like feel kinship with somebody. And kind of, like when I've talked about like having kind of a career disappointment over the past couple months, like, yeah, Nina, I can relate maybe a little bit. But also
Yeah.
like realizing, oh no, like I am actually much better right now than I maybe would have been, or, you know, yeah, like redefining what happiness looks like. And I think that
Yeah.
is, I mean, that's a thing that both Quentin and Nina go through in this book of like, Quentin has been in Paris for like a decade, has a failed engagement with a woman who was cheating on him with his best friend, and yeah, like had to like leave his firm. Like he didn't like fully
Yeah.
get fired, but they were kind of like, you should get out of here because she was the daughter of a very important client, or like something like that. And so,
Yeah, or one of the partners or something like that. I don't quite remember, but um yeah, I think another thing that this book does really well that I think you and I have both been working on over the years, but more recently, is like not associating our self-worth or identity so much with our careers or our jobs, and spending more time thinking about the other things that make life good and worthwhile.
yeah,
um,
it's yeah, it's that is, I think, always going to be us gifted kids. That is unfortunately our lot in life to um kind of struggle with that, I think, forever in its own
yeah,
little way. I think we both have gotten better about it. But it's yeah, I think like, and I feel like I sound like a weird grizzled old crone when I say this, but like
mhm,
turning 28 kind of like solved a little bit of that for me. I had like a little bit of an identity crisis of like, oh no, am I a wonderkind anymore? Just because I've always been like so young
right.
in a lot of rooms, and that actually has not even changed. But now it's like, oh, this was like the number in my head where it's like, I think partially it's because,
That's so interesting to me. Like, you and I have talked about this several times, and not discounting your experience, but like for me that was turning, like for me it was 31, which was weird because
mm,
30 was like a milestone, and then
mm,
31 I was like, oh, I'm like in my 30s.
yeah, yeah,
uh, but it was never like, oh, I'm not a wonderkind anymore. It was more like, oh, I'm like, am I like a proper grown up now?
mm,
The other thing that I was going to say is like, I feel like this book ends in a really interesting place in terms of like Nina and Quentin's like career growth, which is that they both sort of just like chill. And that's sort of like the place that I'm at in my career, is like, certainly I'm still working hard. I'm still doing what I need to do to
mm,
be successful at my job, but I'm not like overdoing it. I'm not working myself to the bone, which I always have, like for as long as I've been working. Um, I'm doing what I need to do to be successful,
mm,
and I'm still like striving, but I'm not like killing myself over it. And it's a nice place to be. The other thing that I was going to say is that I'm rereading Eat, Pray, Love
oh
because
my
of that.
god.
totally went on my Eat, Pray, Love journey, and it's actually really interesting to read now because I read it like right after it came out, which was in like 2007 or something. So I read it either in like high school or college or something like that, which was a weird time for me to be reading that book. But it was in like the zeitgeist, so like everyone was
Right.
reading.
Right.
Um, and it's interesting because the version that I have has like a foreword from Liz Gilbert because it's like the re-release of the book, and she's writing from the perspective of like I think 10 years later or something. So she's in her 40s, and she points out that in the book she keeps referring to herself as old, and she's 34. And she
Mm.
was like, "What the fuck was I thinking?"
Yeah.
Like and I hadn't noticed it when I read the book before, but I'm certainly noticing it now because I'm, a few months away from being 34. And she keeps talking about how she's like, there's like this Italian man who hits on her, and she's like, oh, I'm like way too old for him. And he's like in his late 20s or something. And I'm like, oh my God, like we're like so hard on ourselves about this. And like, I bring that up because it'll be really interesting in 10 years to ask you like to reflect on your 28 turning 28 crisis and how it feels when you're like 38.
Yeah, because I don't even think my crisis is necessarily, and like I say crisis, and honestly, it's just been kind of like a little bit of a jolt. Like,
Right.
I don't lay awake at night thinking about this too much. But it's not even that like I didn't think I would, like I feel like I haven't made it to where I want to be. Like I feel successful. I feel like I've accomplished a lot of things I've wanted to. Like, like it's not even about that. I honestly think it's like the um I think a lot of it is that like I met you when you were 27. I met a lot of our friends when they were like around my age now. So it's like almost like I've now grown out of being the baby of the group in a way of like now I am the age that a lot of people I consider close friends and like really looked up to when I was starting my career. Like now I'm their age, and like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big part of it is now I'm in my late 20s, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I am more like settled in life, and it's weird, and I also know a lot of that could change very quickly, and I have already experienced that too. Not to discount the past year of like losing a parent figure in a very strange non-death related way, and then
Mm-hmm.
getting married and etc. And
All of us getting divorced.
yeah, that too. Like
Yeah.
it's it's a big, these are all big shifts, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe I don't, maybe sometimes we expect to be more settled than we actually are, but there's no such thing as like actually being settled, which is like a big thing of
Yeah.
this book in a way of
Well, and
like
I also think there's like, there's like the whole thing of like this isn't a new thought. In fact, it's like maybe the most cliche thought is like, there's no like my dad always says my dad will be what year is it? My dad will be 62 this year, and he's like some days like my body feels 62, but
mm-hmm,
in my mind I'm still like 17 years old driving my Trans Am, like it
mm-hmm.
never
Your dad had a
it
Trans
never
Am?
really yeah, my dad was fucking badass.
Damn, what the hell?
My dad was badass in high school.
All right, all right.
Yeah, yeah. I told you and Lindsay that y'all's dads have street cred and mine doesn't. My dad does have that
He
that
had a
one piece
Trans Am.
of street cred, a white Trans Am. It was obviously I never saw it. I saw photos of it. It was so sick. I'll find a photo of it for you.
Damn.
With his fucking long hair and like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's this idea of like when you're in college, you look at people who are in their mid 20s and you're like, oh my God, they're so grown up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're in your 20s and you're looking at people who are like married in their 30s or something. And you're like, okay, that's an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like newly married and you're like looking at people in their late 30s with kids, like, oh, that's a grown up. And like at no, even once you get there, you're like, actually, no, I'm just the same
I'm just a human.
person that I've been this whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that was a big thing about this book that I really like related to and watching kind of Nina figure out of like I had all of these plans with my boyfriend and like what we just liked the idea of us together and like this idea of being this like academic power couple because he like also did something similar to her or something like that. I don't know. He was a douche, and we never meet him for a good reason. But like she has that realization of like oh like we didn't even really like each other all that much. We just were kind of together and he was part of this big grand plan that I had for myself and thought I had to embody to be, you know, capital S successful Nina. And I think, you know,
What an interesting thought.
it's wow, what
What
crazy.
an interesting way to feel about a person that you were with for a long time.
Yeah, I can't. I don't have that one right now.
Yeah,
And hopefully won't. I hope Austin and I stay a great match, but that's not what I meant.
I'm not worried about you guys.
What?
I said I'm not worried about you guys.
Oh, I thought you said you were, and I was like, that is a that is a
What a
crazy.
crazy thing to say on mic for the first time if I
I
actually felt that way.
I know. I was like, I'm sorry. What?
Oh,
For the record, neither of us are worried about me and Austin.
no,
we're
none of the three of us are worried. You, me, or Austin.
yeah, we're all
Nor do
good.
I think anyone else is.
I don't think so either. That would be a crazy thing to bring up on my. Whoo, man! I just had a moment of like panic. It's like, what are you not telling me?
Ugh.
Anyway, and I think the thing I've been thinking about since I finished this book is that contentment that both Nina and Quentin like find, where Nina decides, I'm gonna stay at home in Maryland and go work at the library, and I'm like, that sounds so fucking nice.
It sounds lovely.
But then I also know myself enough to know like right now I would not be satisfied with that. And so it would kind of, you know, trigger this thought in me where I was like, okay, is there, you know, there might be a point in my life where that is very satisfying to me,
Hmm.
but I know about myself right now that it's just not. And that's kind of a frustrating thing to know about yourself of like when am I going to be satisfied? But also like, you know, I'm 28. Like I
Right.
have things that I want to do or hope to do or whatever. Like I that and neither of those are wrong. And Nina made the right choice to not go back to that stupid university that pulled her offer and then begged for her to come back. Um, and yeah, like has the life that she wants for herself, which is with
I also
Quentin.
think there's a big difference between I'm satisfied to the extent that I'm not going to strive anymore and I am content with what I have for now. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to want something else in the future,
Mm,
but I'm chilling for now. Like right now, like like again, this book sort of ends in a space where I am right now of like eventually, I'm going to want to change jobs. I'm going to want to, you know, live in a different apartment than the one I moved into. I'm going to want to, do other things. I'm going to want to find a partner, like whatever. But for now, I'm genuinely chilling, and that's not to say if something fell into my lap in terms of like life changes that I wouldn't accept it, but I'm not actively searching for those things. And so I think there's a difference between like complacency and contentment.
mm,
Um, and I think what you're talking about is that you don't want to be complacent, but I think you're certainly content.
yeah, I think that's fair.
I also think to bring it back around to the book, we get so many of these happy ever afters um, when really they're sort of just like happy for nows. We don't
Mm,
know that Nina and Quentin are going to end up staying in Maryland forever. This might just be a thing that they're doing and they might want to go back to a bigger city eventually.
yeah,
Like they're
yeah.
relatively young. They're going to have decades of life like after this book ends. And so I think like so often we read the ends of these books as like, oh, they're just going to do that forever when that's almost certainly not true because that's not usually how people work.
Right. That is true.
But
Yeah.
sometimes it is.
Yeah. Yeah. This epilogue takes place 2 months after they complete the treasure hunt and get together. So, like, that's not a huge amount of time. They are buying a house together. So, that's nice.
Yeah, but you know what? You can sell a house.
Yeah, you can sell a house.
So, I think we so often read these as so final.
Mm.
Um, and I think it's important to remind ourselves that it's not necessarily.
Yeah. I want to talk about the the treasure hunt itself
Yeah.
as a device is not the right word because it's literally the plot of the book, but it is the driving force of this journey that they both
Mhm.
take, where we get a seltzer magnet named JJ
Fucking
Fountain.
love that guy.
I this okay. It was very funny reading this after Great Big Beautiful Life, where I was like, Sarah did this
Yeah.
so much better.
What?
Sarah did
Yeah,
this.
I was thinking the same thing.
Sarah did this better than,
I
and
knew you were going to think that.
so the way that the book is structured, for if you are a person who didn't read the book and just likes hearing us yap, um,
Nicole.
yeah, um, is in between Sarah is telling Quentin and Nina's story, we get the transcripts of one specific interview that this journalist did, or writer, I can't remember, did with Mr. Fountain. And it's just like, and then we get one tiny chapter of like them in the room together, but
Yeah,
otherwise it's
it's
just
a
a
flashback. Yeah.
transcript. And did
Yeah,
you?
which I really liked as a storytelling device. I liked that. I'm a big fan of oral histories,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved that this was like a unique take on the like dual timeline
Mm-hmm.
um
I
novel.
loved that. I thought
Yeah.
it was so, one, it was like the transcripts that we read sprinkled throughout the book are not really very long. They're usually about like 3 pages. And I was reading it on my Kindle, so like, 3 Kindle pages or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
if I read it in print and it's like maybe two, most
yeah.
there might be a couple that are three. Yeah.
Yeah. They're super short. And so, but Sarah does so much with that space in establishing this character who has lived on the periphery of Quentin and Nina's life for so long, and establishing him as like a weirdo. Um,
And
his
establishing two characters,
Yeah,
establishing his interviewer as a character
yeah, Albert.
too, even though the interviewer is not even like on the page really.
Right, not until kind of the very end where we get this one little interaction between the two of them that's not in the form of the transcript. And
Yeah. Up until then, we get Albert's like thoughts that are then crossed out. So we're supposed to believe they weren't like put in the final record, but
mhm,
it's like acknowledging that like uh uh the pajama trick or like calling his tie ugly or shit like that.
yeah,
It's like personal things that you aren't supposed to put in this like official historical record, but we get them written but crossed out. So it's like we're getting his raw notes basically.
yeah. And then we get him to admit, or not even admit, but we get to the treasure itself, which I was like, it's gonna be love all along, and of course it was. Like,
Of course it was,
there's
yeah.
no real treasure, and like, I don't know, maybe that's my only. That's not even like a gripe. I was just like,
Mm.
this is a little cliche, but of course it is. Like, it's a romance novel. It's fine.
They
Um,
still were able to find physical things though.
yeah.
There was the letter, they ended up finding the manuscript for the book. Um and like I really liked the treasure hunt as a storytelling device in this book because I love the sort of like, I love stories like this with some quirky like
Mm-hmm.
matriarch or
Mission.
patriarch. Yeah, that is like it's like giving Knives Out,
Yeah.
like old person leaves behind like wacky
Quest.
adventure
Yeah.
and I will never not eat that shit up, like
Yeah.
Willy Wonka style,
Yeah. And
It's
it
just like one of my favorite types of stories.
and it is what forces like Nina and Quentin back together. Like, where Quentin had moved away and goblined her, as like her mom likes to say. No, ghosted her in high school. And like Nina, I think at some point or whatever, or it's implied or a possibility that Nina would not have wanted to reconnect with him without the allure of the treasure hunt and finally solving the mystery. And yeah, it was a great like way to reintroduce them together. And again, I was pleasantly surprised in how like not wacky it was. I think there was a very fine line where it could have gotten a little too goofy.
Slapstick.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
too like slapsticky, but like all of the situations that they're in the way to like find clues for the treasure, like having to pretend to be engaged to like tour the mansion, like
That was one of my favorite scenes in the entire
yeah, it's
book when they're like touring the wedding venue, quote unquote, and they start fake fighting. It
yeah,
was so fucking funny.
it's very funny. It's like realistically funny. Like these are this
Mhm.
is how like for the most part this is how people talk, you know, like
Yes, and this like all of these really goofy shenanigans are also things that like could
happen.
question mark in theory happen. Like if you got two goofy people like pretending to be engaged, this is maybe how it would go.
Right.
Or like the talking to the moon thing. That was so
Oh my
silly and
god.
adorable. Um and just like a really interesting storytelling device, like an interesting way to choose for them to communicate with each other in this sort of veiled way. I think this was I think this book might, going back to what I said at the beginning, I think it also might be my favorite of Sarah's just because of the way all of those things converge. Like a lot of
Mm.
really smart storytelling devices coming together to really like gel, I guess, in a way uh, that doesn't always like not every author could pull off.
Yeah, different, you know, in contrast with Happy Medium and Mrs. Nash's Ashes, we have two main characters who have a shared history.
Yeah,
And whereas with Gretchen and Millie, they are meeting their love interest in the book, where Quentin and Nina have this shared language. And I think that was also like one of my favorite things about this book is that Sarah does a really good job of introducing us to that shared language without over explaining it. Like the moon thing. There's not a paragraph being like, well, this is how we used to talk to each other through our windows as he would protect. Like she just does it.
right. And
Or
it's sort of like there are lines in between that sort of explain it, but you end up putting it together. Or like my other favorite one of my other favorite things about this book was Nina categorizing Quentin's
I
laughs
was just about to bring that up
and
where
using those as ways to refer to their shared history of like that's the same laugh as when we were in school and this thing happened or
mhm.
whatever.
Yeah, like I that really impressed me as use as a storytelling device because I think like, you know, when we do like second chance romances, you know, especially ones that have like dual timelines, like sometimes it's not like over explaining, but you can spend too much time in that past timeline
Yeah.
in an attempt to get an understanding across of just like how deep like a friendship feeling whatever goes. Like I'm thinking of Carly Fortune or
Yeah.
you know like where it feels uneven between the two timelines as you're trying to establish like what somebody meant to somebody in the past. And instead, Sarah I think does a really good job of and not that we don't like a dual timeline or whatever that it can't be
Yeah.
done well. Like that's just a different way of doing it. Whereas here, it would have dragged the book down in that you are kind of like, you know, what we would say about Great Big Beautiful Life where, you know, you had a lot of kind of main things competing.
Hmm.
If this had been kind of a dual timeline, like going back to their first treasure hunt and contrasting with the current treasure hunt, like that it just would have been too much. Like
Well, I think too there's a conversation to be had here about authorial intent and how
mm,
much we believe in that. Some authors do, some authors don't, right? And I think there's like a I have kind of a theory around like what authors kind of want us to feel a bit, and I
mm,
think with dual timeline books like Carly Fortune, I think Carly is pulling on the nostalgia strings
mm,
quite a bit,
mm-hmm,
especially in that first book.
sure.
Because like everyone has some sort of childhood summer fling that they can think back on, right? Like everyone has, even if it's like a boy you had a crush on at summer camp
Mm-hmm,
but never even actually talked to, you can like bottle that feeling, right? And
yeah.
she's summoning that. Whereas I don't think Sarah's pulling on nostalgia here. She's pulling on other things.
Mm-hmm,
Nostalgia isn't an important theme of this book, where it
mm-hmm,
is an important theme of a lot of other dual timeline second chance books that we've read, and I think neither is wrong. It's just interesting choices made by everybody.
No, I think that's a great point. And kind of when I was writing some things down about this book, mostly I was just trying to touch on like themes that I wanted us to talk about. And like one of them was like personal failure, like returning home. And yeah, you're right. Like nostalgia is not, even though this could be a book that veers into nostalgia of, it's a
And it's
book.
certainly present.
Yeah, and it's a book about literally returning to your childhood home for like two main characters, and like they're both living back in their childhood bedrooms in their duplexes.
Mhm.
Like that's that's ripe for nostalgia, but we just that's yeah. I think you're right, and Sarah, tell us if Katie's wrong, but I think that was like yeah, that's not the theme of the book. The theme is kind of like coming back after a failure. At one, it was the failure of the first treasure hunt where they're picked up by the cops and they have no friendship. And then the other side coming back from the failures, quote unquote, that you experience like in adulthood, a failed relationship, a failed job, like whatever. Like the treasure hunt for them is this hope or whatever.
Right.
And that's when okay, we have to talk about Quentin's betrayal because I also full body gasped at the
Yeah.
reveal that Quentin had already found the treasure as a teenager and hadn't told Nina.
Well,
That
and this is another thing that we talked about before we started recording, harkens back to Mrs. Nash's Ashes because it's a very similar
mhm.
sort of betrayal.
It's not the woman's fault. It's the man. And
Thanks for
yeah,
that one, Sarah.
yeah, thanks for that one. Big win for women
Yeah.
in these books. But one, holy shit, I would have been so angry. And it's a perfectly reasonable fight.
Yeah.
And from both ends. And Nina comes to that conclusion on her own of like, I understand why he did it. I'm still
Because she
mad.
also did something similar.
Right.
Like, not like we're not scaling betrayals here, but she also betrayed him when she was the same age.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. She didn't show up when she said she would. And then they got arrested.
yeah.
So, like,
Because she went off to try to find it on her own, and he did find it on his own. So, like, you can't really split hairs there. And also, like, if you're still mad in your 30s about a stupid mistake somebody made when they were 17, like, maybe that's not worth lingering on. But I would be really mad.
see, that, yes. But I think what gets Nina and what get me is that I've been doing this with you for weeks and you already had it,
For no reason. Yeah,
for,
exactly.
which is what she says, and also hurts Quentin because he's like, this was a waste of time for you. Like, I, she says something like, I could have been rebuilding my life. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, you, you can have a life here
Right.
that's also like better than what you had in Boston. And
Yeah, I think more than anything, it's just manipulative of
yeah,
like, for manipulative with good intention, but still manipulative.
yeah. What is it he says at one point? Like, which is kind of funny when they talk about even if the intent was not to hurt one another, like you still can. When they talk,
Right.
when he's like, remember when I lost my ball, and then they throw a rock around,
Yeah.
and she hits him in the eye, and
Yeah.
like even though you didn't intend to hurt me, like you still can, and
Doesn't
still
mean it
did.
didn't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there it is like a miscommunication, but it's a miscommunication between two teenagers that has
Right.
unfortunately bloomed into they're in their early 30s, I think, in this book. Like yeah, like
I think Nina is exactly 33.
heh. So
I've been
wow.
reading a lot of book like romance novels where the heroine is specifically my age. Like last year I read a bunch of books with 32-year-old heroines. Now I'm reading a bunch of books with 33-year-old ones, and I'm like, is it just because I'm like a little bit younger than these authors and I'm just like mirroring them?
Yeah. Well, in the Maisie Eddings one I'm reading right now, she's 28. So I was like,
That's fun.
yeah. So I don't know. 28 is not a very like appealing number, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a lot of 27-year-olds, which now I've aged out of. So
Yeah.
whatever. But
Okay, do we want to do our final little
our speed round of
Yeah,
we read some of the discussion questions and there are some good silly ones. So
yeah.
we are gonna do them because we actually haven't really done this with books that we read when they have readers guides, but
Well, because the reader's guides are normally never this goofy.
yeah, that's true. So, Katie, pick the first one.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go with we can expand on this a little bit, but the nude drawing class is really funny. So
Oh,
like if we're Nina in this book having the relationship with her mom that she does, would you go to the nude drawing class with her?
no.
Yeah, no, me neither.
I don't want to look at naked people with my mother.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, same.
Even with a purpose behind it that is
Yeah.
of artistic merit.
And
Um,
even with us both having like relatively like laid back mothers, I would still know.
Also, I'm really bad at drawing, so what point of me
Same.
being there is
That man would not want me drawing him naked. It would just be
no,
embarrassing for all of us.
no. I don't need to be there. Don't put me in that
Like
room.
I would draw a dick the way I've been drawing a dick since we were like 12 years old.
Do,
Just with the cylinder and two lumps.
well, exactly.
Yeah.
Cartoon. Uh,
You do the next one.
oh yes. Okay, I actually have a good answer for this one.
Yeah.
Have you ever hunted for treasure? What were the circumstances, and did you find it?
Um, Nothing beyond just like using a metal detector at the beach. Um, and no, I didn't find anything. But also, as I've said on the pod before, my family owns a laundromat. So we end up with accidental treasure a lot, meaning like stuff people left in their jeans. And so it's little treasure. It's like, my grandpa gave me a necklace that was found that nobody claimed. Like he
Yeah,
waited for somebody to come get it. And then it had been like 6 months. And he was like, all right, well, this is yours now. So like little pieces of treasure.
haunted.
I also do have a good friend that I work with, who you also know, who did his scuba certification out on Lake Austin and found countless items. His wife wears an Apple Watch that he found at or not Lake Austin, Lake Travis, at the bottom of Lake Travis.
I
Like
yeah, I bet he's found so many good sunglasses.
he has like multiple Ray-Bans and stuff and like iPhones and shit like that. Yeah.
Dude, if you're listening, next time you find a pair of Ray Bans, I want them.
He will not listen to this.
I know, but still,
I actively told him not to.
I'm putting it in the universe, perhaps.
Yeah,
No,
I'll tell him.
yeah,
I'm seeing him on Tuesday.
excellent. No, the best and only example I can think of, besides the let's just go dig holes in the yard situation, is when I was 5 years old. My cousin Zachary and I were at a snow cone stand, and we were digging for treasure. And he was holding a potato-sized rock, digging at it into the ground, and I put my hand out to brush away some dirt, and he smashed the rock on my middle finger, and that is the only time I have broken a bone. So the real treasure that we found was me going to the hospital and having a splint on my middle finger on my right hand, which you can still see the scar.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did get to pick something as my reward for being brave and going to the hospital. And for some reason, I picked like a kid's like snorkeling set with like big yellow flippers, and I wore them to the pool, and I got made fun of. So that was the treasure I got.
I didn't know that part of the story. I knew the
Yeah,
rock story.
yeah, no, the and my cousin, who is one of the loveliest people in the entire world, has never like lived it down. And even he was like 9, and he was like, "I'm never gonna forgive myself," and it was really sweet. And Zachary, I forgive you. Do not ever listen to this podcast. But regardless, and now he's a firefighter, so he now saves poor children like me who got their fingers smashed by a potato-sized rock. So good for him.
Potato sized is so specific. Okay, I'm going to ask one more and then you ask the one that we talked about before this. Um, Quentin learns about a life hack to procure apple fritters without waking up early. Are there any similar tricks only locals know about where you live? I don't, I'm like trying to think of any. The free side of Barton Springs, maybe?
The free side of Barton Springs is a good one. The if you get enough people together, you can order Franklin barbecue without waiting in line,
Without waiting in line,
which
yeah.
is very similar to the apple fritter.
I
Let
don't think this is an only locals thing, but I think it's a, if you've been in Texas long enough, you'll know that a lot of restaurants have these deals, which is like a lot of restaurants that serve frozen drinks will do like dollar frozen drinks if it goes over 100 degrees that day.
Yeah, that's a good one. Obviously, you got to know where to go, but that's
Right.
a good life hack. Um,
Doc's backyard in Sunset Valley, baby.
yep. Better luck tomorrow in Houston, baby. I hope they still do that, or if somebody
Yeah, I
check
don't know
me.
if Doc's is doing it this summer, but we're actually having a milder summer.
We are
So,
having a rainy summer, and I don't think we've hit 100 since May. We
yeah.
had that one day where we hit 100, and I don't think we have since. So,
Watch August fucking suck.
yeah, remember on this podcast when we said we were going to be hot and angry? Now we're just wet and angry because it won't stop
I'm
raining.
chilling. I'm not
Yeah,
even that angry. I'm just mad that today, that or no, yesterday I broke my going to the pool every day streak because of
I
the
know.
rain.
Well, I want to go to the pool, and I can't because it's raining, and it keeps fucking with our cowboy pool. Austin and I are waging a
Yeah.
war against the chlorine levels in there. So
Just
that's
come to
my
mine.
beef.
It's great.
I know, yeah. Any other? I can't think of another hack, but those are good ones. I feel like
Yeah.
the Franklin one is just like, yeah, throw a party with your friends and you can get a full Franklin brisket, but it's not cheap, baby. Have you seen
No,
Franklin
it's
prices
not.
lately? They're crazy. So
Well, we went to the brisket party and we each paid what, like $40 or something, and that was for a bunch of other stuff too, like ribs and.
yeah, yeah,
But that was a big party. There were like 30 people or something
yes, but still.
throughout the course of the evening. But
Yeah, I feel like there are probably some other good Austin hacks I'm not thinking of.
probably, but the real good ones aren't ones we want to say on
Yeah,
mic.
exactly. Mine is know a guy who works in restaurants, marry him, and then you get a lot of free stuff.
Or befriend
Or be friends with them.
befriend that couple.
Yeah. Okay, so the last one, number 7, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you were an eccentric millionaire at the turn of the century, what odd or extravagant features would you want to include on your estate?
I love this question.
I do too. I want one of those giant metal dinosaurs that people sell on the side of the road.
Yes. I want a giant metal something. I don't know what. There's so many options. I don't know if I would go dinosaur, but I want some big quirky metal figurine. Lazy River.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
Mm, swing set. I know that's a very basic one, but
Adult sized.
adult size swing set.
And not the kind that like rocks back and forth when you get going too good.
No, no, no. Like a full professionally installed swing set.
Yeah.
Obviously I want a secret library with a secret door. Um,
Sure. Are we talking about in the house or on the property though? It says on your estate. I'm picturing
estate
outside.
includes property.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. I mean,
Uh,
yeah, obviously big library.
uh, um, um, one of those water fountains in schools that you can order to have installed in your house.
Fuck yeah. And the one of those crazy sonic ice machines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Professional grade margarita machine. Those things are like
Yes.
$5,000.
Yes. Let's see. I feel like I would want just like a little like side building that's like a writing, like an office, like a detached office from my like very like cabin in the woodsy.
That's not
Like
eccentric. It could be
I
though.
would make it eccentric. It would be like covered in ivy and shit and look very spooky.
And have be full of Lego inside.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Kate,
would want a walk-in closet just for my Lego.
Katie's estate includes thousands of Lego sets she has put together throughout her lifetime.
True.
All
Hey,
right.
they've got resale value.
I learned kind of recently actually.
Yeah.
Uh,
I would
yeah.
also have, this is not eccentric necessarily, but useful for my job. I would have a recording booth.
That would be great for both of us.
Yeah. Um like a full movie theater room like a lot of the rich people have.
I want a Papasan chair, which I know is an attainable goal, but I still really want one.
I know. I can't believe you keep saying it, and then I've sent you like 500 of them that are just
I know.
$100 on Facebook
I
Marketplace, and you
I
won't do it.
I know. I know. I just need to spend the $100 to do
Ooh,
it.
I would want one of those. I would want to have one of the rooms in my house be like the room that's just all bed. You know the one I'm talking
Oh
about?
yes, all
That
bed,
no, replace movie theater for that.
all bed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
room that is all bed. That way we can just have like little girls' nights sleepovers in there.
Yep.
And
All
there's a wine fridge in there too.
the bed space room,
Yeah,
not the bedroom. The
the
bed
bed.
space.
Oh, also I would want like a full bar, obviously, like with a bunch of draft beer. All of my favorite beer on draft.
Did you ever hear that rumor about how Post Malone used to employ someone just to keep Bud Light stocked in his fridge? Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I would
that
do that.
I would do that, but not for Bud Light. Something that I like more.
Yeah. Basically, I would just want to make sure I had kegs of all of my favorite beers on hand, like so that I could have them on tap anytime I wanted.
In-house tiki bar. The people who like
In-house tiki bar.
the people who like build out their basement to like be a tiki bar.
Yes.
That's what I want. That's
Oh
what
my
I
God.
want. Yeah. Okay, we have to
I'm gonna
stop. We
build
could
that
do
on
this
the Sims
forever.
after this.
You're gonna what?
Build that on the Sims
I
after
knew
this.
that's what you were saying. We could keep
I
going
always just
forever
use
on
the
this.
Sims to build the extravagant houses that I will never have.
Yeah, I love going on Zillow and like looking at interiors. Like,
Hmm.
I it's my favorite thing. I wish I could go to I almost called it Saltburn. It's not Saltburn. Spangburr? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Spangber.
Yeah, I wish I could go there and search for the treasure that ended up just being him in love with his secretary, which I realize we never fully said it here, but it was actually very nice.
Yeah.
Despite being cliche, of course, because the greatest gift of all is love. It's like
I
when
love that our answers to this question started as truly eccentric and then just turned into like things we'd have if we were rich.
I mean, yeah, yeah, but
I'm like garage fridge,
you can't you
beer
can't
fridge for the garage.
you can't be truly eccentric without being rich is the thing. Like I feel like you have to it's like if you're not rich, if you're rich, you're eccentric. If you're poor, you're just crazy.
Yeah, I feel like you either have to be really rich or like quite poor to be properly eccentric.
Yeah, I don't know. I
There's no real in between.
right, you can't be middle class and be eccentric. Then you're
Right.
just kind of weird.
Right.
Yeah, because yeah, now
Yeah,
I'm
then
also
you've just got, I don't know, like a dozen Lego sets in your closet.
just mentally unstable and weird. I'm just kidding.
Um,
Perfectly stable and weird.
yeah.
Totally.
Okay, somewhere in between both of those things.
Life is a
Especially after the
journey.
day that I've had. What are you reading right now?
I'm still reading the Maisie Eddings book just because I've had a busy couple weeks. And so I was obviously reading this, and then I want to sit down and like crank it out because I am enjoying it, but I keep
Mm.
putting it down for like long periods of time, and then I'm like, wait, where am I? Um, so I'm still reading, yeah, Maisie Eddings. Well, actually, which I'm not far enough into. I did, however, just place. I have like 8 book of the month credits because I'm an idiot and would never like skip the months. However, I did just put in an order for like 3 books I'm actually excited about. One that sounds similar to the Jennifer E. Smith book I just finished about, family drama, which I am realizing is a genre I like, called The Summer Storms by Sarah McLean. And it takes place in Rhode Island. And so I'm excited for those kind of vibes. I've been hearing about The Compound by Aisling Rawle, Rawle, which is like Love Island meets The Hunger Games, apparently. I saw some people on Instagram reading it, so my interest was piqued, and so I threw that one in my
Yeah,
box.
I saw Kindle posted it
Yeah,
and I put the hold on it at the library.
well, I ordered it on Book of the Month, and then
So
also How Freaking Romantic, which is about divorce lawyers falling in love.
yeah,
So
that is the one that I got for my book of the month.
yeah, so I'm excited for those to come in. These Summer Storms and How Freaking Romantic are both actual monthly selections, and then I think the compound I got as an add-on. So if you're looking for it, that's where it is. But I'm
Yeah,
excited for those.
I had several credits for Book of the Month as well. So I got How Freaking Romantic. I also got Wedding Dashers, which I think we were both eyeing at some point,
Mm-hmm.
by Heather McBreen. Um, it's like two stranded wedding guests trying to get to a wedding.
Oh yeah, yes, 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 yes.
And then I got uh, Maggie or A Man and a Woman Walk into a Bar by Katie Yee, which has gotten good. It has 4.01 stars on Goodreads. It comes out at the end of this month. It's like an early release through Book of
Wow,
the Month. Um, and it's about uh, this like uh, basically like this woman is at dinner and finds out that her husband was having an affair, and then like the months unfold. So
sick. Great.
yeah, but it said in the style of Jenny Ophil, who I like, and the tradition of Nora Ephron's hilarious and devastating writing on heartbreak and womanhood, Maggie is a masterclass in transforming personal tragedy into a form of defiant comedy.
Okay,
So
so it's funny.
yeah, but
Okay.
I'm also rereading that vampire series that I read a couple years back because the fourth one comes out next month. So that's the Crowns of Nyaxia series. First one is Serpent and the Wings of Night. And I realized I haven't read the third one yet. I read the first two like more than a year ago and then never picked up the third one, which came out last year. And now the fourth one is coming out. So
Oh
I'm
well,
I'm playing Mad Catch Up and going back into vampire mode. Uh, which I'm excited. I haven't read a fantasy in a while, so it'll be fun.
nice. Well,
And I'm reading Eat, Pray, Love.
the the main food groups. So
Yeah, the main food groups, quote unquote, real books that are sad but funny, fantasy, and Eat, Pray, Love.
excellent. Yep. Just what we all need. So
Indeed. All right. Well, we will see y'all in 2 weeks to read Ashley Poston's Sounds Like Love, which is also one I have to reread because I read it. Well, I guess I read it in May, but still, got to come back to me.
I haven't read it at all yet. So stay tuned to see if Ashley Poston has won me back.
Yep.
So we'll see. She hasn't lost me, but truly won me back.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Bye.